everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. So this is the first YouTube video obviously I have ever filmed, and I am a little nervous, but at the same time I'm super excited to start something new. But welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get to it. So basically, I decided to start this channel because I've been thinking about YouTube for a while, and I was a teacher, so I could not have a YouTube channel while I was a teacher. I mean, if I could, I guess that would have been like super risky, which I just was not in the mood to deal with. So I was waiting and waiting until I left my job so I could actually use my full name and not just CalFit Life, and kind of go from there. I'm going to do like a little introduction of me, and then I'm going to kind of get to what the point of my first video is. So my name is Kallie. It's the easiest to tell people. It's said like California, but spelled totally differently. I have had I guess you'd call it like a fitness lifestyle Instagram for the past 2 years now. And it's been phenomenal. I've made so many great friends, just built so many awesome relationships with people and brands. Well, I mean, it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to kind of give you guys like a little bit of background on me, and then we're going to move forward. I am from Maryland. For those of you who don't know where that is, I like to explain it. It's like an hour northwest of DC. Honestly, I have no idea if that's correct. It's about an hour from DC, which helps people. I'm from a very small little farm town area. If I could, I would turn my camera around and show you like what I'm looking at right now, which is my grandfather's farm. But then I'm like worried that I won't get it refocused. I guess let me try. That's my grandfather's farm. There we have it. I have been an athlete my whole life. Basketball was my main sport. I always say like one of my biggest regrets was probably not playing college basketball. But that's like a different story for a whole different time. But yes, basketball is a huge part of my life growing up. So fitness and sports and being healthy just kind of came natural to me. I guess you could say being healthy. I was the person who like on away game nights, like my mom would pick me up at McDonald's and bring it home for me, and like I just had a very, very fast metabolism, and I was somebody who was pretty much shaped like a boy until I graduated high school. So college hits, I'm not nearly as active as I was, or just at all. I'm someone who like loves to binge watch shows, and I didn't really love the college I went to. Sorry, that's my dog shaking. I don't know what she's doing. I really reached a point where I was just kind of like fed up with my body. I never had like a bad body, but looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, like how did I get from like this person who's got like literally like a six-pack in high school, like not even trying, like, you know what I mean? Like it was just the way I was shaped and skinny as a rail, to somebody who was like having like curves and shaped like a woman, and like, you know, I had like a pooch from drinking alcohol, and I was like, ugh. Looking at myself in the mirror, and like I was the person who I picked apart like every little part of me, and like when I would watch movies, or I would like go out in public, or I'd be at the beach or something, I would literally look at girls. Like I would just like check girls out, and I'd be like, oh, I wish I had her hips, or not hips, or like I wish I had like the V that she has, or, you know, wow, her legs are really great, like she doesn't have cellulite. Like I literally was like, man, I want that girl's that and that girl's that. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like this is so like toxic to myself. Like freaking get in shape, Kallie. Which was hard for me to kind of like adjust my thinking, because I have always been somebody who's like been athletic and been in shape, or been capable of doing athletic things. So I heard about BBG, which is, if you don't know, it's Kayla Cenas. She's like an Australian trainer. I had seen some of her photos on like Twitter or Instagram, and I was like, whoa, like what is the deal with this? Like these girls have crazy transformations in like 12 weeks. I was like, what? So I like looked into it, and I found Kayla's Instagram, and I was like stalking her, as we all do. I realized that she was a basketball player. So that kind of like drew me to her. I was like, oh, like sweet, like this girl trains people and she like loves basketball, like I'm in. So I committed to myself. I was like, the first Monday in 2015, in January, I'm going to start BBG. And I did. And I did it for 12 weeks. And it took me a while to see results. because my body, like I said, I wasn't somebody who needed to lose like 30 pounds or something. I just needed to lose like little stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I was talking to my friend and I was like, I feel like maybe I want to make like an Instagram to go along with doing BBG so I can continue doing another 12 weeks and kind of like stay accountable. And she was like, actually, like I follow a lot of girls who like do Weight Watchers and stuff like that. Like it's totally normal. You should do it. And I was like, okay. So I didn't tell anybody. I created my Instagram. I didn't show my face for like, I think like a month. And then I was like, whatever, I'll show my face. And at this time, I still wasn't a full-time teacher, so I didn't see any harm in it. And I wasn't using like my name. Like I literally didn't put my name. I don't know if you like know on Instagram, but like, where it can be like the bold name. I didn't do that until I just recently left my job because I didn't want people to be able to search Kallie and find me. Maybe it's naive that I thought they couldn't the other way, but I know it made it a lot harder because I had people do it for me to make sure. Long story short, that's how I started my Instagram, you know, and it just grew organically over time. It's literally been wild to witness. So, crazy part, through this Instagram, I realized my passion lies within fitness. And, you know, making better choices, building your body, being strong, empowering others, especially women. Like, I have always like loved to be a leader, you know, like being the captain on my team or being like the student body president or, which I was all of these things, not to like sound braggy, but like that's just like my mentality. Like I like to lead, and being a teacher, you are a leader of an entire group of people. Yes, those people are children, but you're still leading, and I love to motivate, and I'm a basketball coach, and I love it. And I think it's that aspect of being able to pull out people's best and like push them to new limits. That's like what sets my soul on fire. And for a really long time, I knew something wasn't right. It took me forever to get a full-time teaching job. Teaching is so competitive, by the way. Like if you don't know, like if you don't have like an in, like you like have to bust your ass. Like I was long-term subbing. So like people who were like getting surgery or on like maternity leave, things like that. Like that's what I was doing for almost 2 full years. And during this time I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to be a PE teacher. Get me out of the classroom. But PE is even harder. When I say PE, I mean physical education. Is even harder than teaching because like think about how many teachers are in a school and think about how many PE teachers are in a school. So got certified, went on a few interviews, didn't get them. Womp womp. August of 2015, I got hired full-time as a 5th grade teacher. Oh my god, what do I do about my Instagram? I have no idea. Like, do I make it private? No way I'm gonna make it private, you know, all this stuff. So I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And my whole first year, I am like 100% convinced like no one found out about it. This past year, my 2nd year of teaching with my new class, I did have a student find it, and I pretty much nipped that right away. I was like, we do not talk about this at school. Like I like scared the living daylights out of her. I was like, we do not talk about this at school. And like my last day, I told like one of my coworkers, but like the whole time, like I am like 95% sure nobody knew. So I'm like, if you're looking at me weird in the hallway, maybe you knew, but I'm gonna pretend that they didn't. My first year of teaching was a nightmare. I was in a very difficult school. My class was just full of really testy kids, hard kids, and I mean, while it was my first year, that's overwhelming for anybody in the first place. It was just really hard, and I was, you know, in the thick of like really loving like my Instagram and fitness and blogging and I was like, I want to get out, this is what I want to do, but I had no idea what I wanted to do. I had a few things I knew I didn't want to do, but I was like, well, I can't leave my job if I have no freaking clue what I want to do. I have my little notes here, really fancy. Such a YouTuber, right? So prepared. So after my first year of teaching ended, I started talking to a few people about what they think I should do, and I was getting great advice from some of my friends. I was reading books. Oh, I should have brought the book down here. One second. No idea if this is focusing for you or not. Ugh. This book was the first book that I read when I was like, I've got to change my life. You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. So good. I read it twice. I started highlighting the second time. if you like want to change your life, like this is a fantastic book to read first. The book came out earlier this year. It's called 2 Turns from Zero. It's by Stacey Griffith, and she's a like senior master SoulCycle instructor. But it's not just about SoulCycle. It's about like going through the lows to get to where you should be in life. It's really, really good. But that book's in my car. Daring Greatly by, to be honest, I think it's Bren Brown, but there's an accent above the E, so like I'm terrible. But it's called Daring Greatly. Once again, focus, not focus, no clue. So I started reading books, and like it really made me think about myself. And if you read my blog post, I kind of gave the steps on how to leave your job, quit your job, to follow your passion, follow your dream. And the first step I said is you need to get to know yourself. I really got to know myself when I was reading these books because, like, you know, the author would like write something and pretty much make you ask yourself that. And I really started to think about, like, yes, I want to get into fitness, but why? Why do I want to get into fitness? What do I want out of it for myself? And that was like a huge realization for me, and that's why I'm so glad that I did not leave after my first year of teaching, because I had no clue what I wanted to do, and I needed to figure that out on my own. Secondly, you need to talk to people. I worry about everything. My parents have told me this is how I've been my whole life, which I know I have, like just like super nervous Nelly, like I'm always worried about everything, truly. And I needed to talk to other people to like get it out and to not have all this like in my head, because that's a lot for one person to deal with. Like wanting to quit your job is like a huge thing. I talked to obviously some Instagram friends because they understood the fitness side of me, while also talking to friends that I've known my whole life. Like, you know, I'm so unhappy, and they're like, what are you gonna do? And you know, all this stuff. I'm like, oh my god, I have no idea. But just talking it out with people and having them make me feel not so crazy made it so much better and easier to like continue in the process. One person, I'll talk about her on here, and I've talked about her in my blog. Her name is Jess. We found each other on Instagram, and it's like this crazy like way that we like, it's just crazy. She found me and she was like, we need to talk, we need to connect, because we have very similar backgrounds and places of where we wanted to go. So Jess has been like my savior through this whole thing, because one thing that she said to me stuck out to me so much. She was like, you're doing the right work. You're doing what makes you happy, what you love, except you're in the wrong work setting. Which is totally true, because, you know, I'm leading, I'm coaching, I'm motivating, I'm helping other people, but I'm doing it in the classroom setting with children when I want to be doing it in a different work setting, like in fitness. The point in that is like you need to find people who understand you, who get you, and who support you. You need people on your side who are not only just gonna be there to listen, but they're also gonna give you super helpful advice. The third thing I talked about was writing your goals down. So I use a passion planner, and it helped me set up like my 3-month goals, my 6-month goals, my year goals, and it had me write down every single goal I had and dream, like big and small. So some of the things that I wrote could be like kind of embarrassing if I had to share them. However, because they were just for me to see and like kind of get out there, you know, it made me feel like, you know, any of this is possible. So writing it down is, I'm somebody who like, I like to write things down, so that works for me. But I just think writing it down is like the first step to like realizing it and making it real. Number 4, my lucky number 4 is a huge one. And I said to not force it. A lot of the messages that I got from people, they were saying like, oh, they had so much relief reading what I wrote, because they said you kept talking about how it takes time. And that's the biggest part, is you cannot force what's next for you. It doesn't matter if it's in fitness or fashion or whatever. If you want to become a teacher, like quit your job and become a teacher, you know, whatever it is, it can't be forced. You know, you can't just be like, I want to change, this is like what I want to do, and let's go for it. Like, you have to have a plan, and you have to have a direction on which way to go. So for me, like, I did not leave after my first year of teaching, even though I knew it's not what I wanted to do, because I didn't have a direction to go. I knew what I didn't want to do, but I didn't have a solid plan, and therefore I would have been stumbling around, and you could have found you can find yourself in another job that you're just as miserable in, and I obviously did not want that. So you need to trust the process. You need to let it take time. Because if you try to force something to happen next for you, you know, 9 times out of 10 it's probably not going to work out. And the whole point of this is to get to the happy ending. Next, the big one, you need to make the choice. So instead of just like thinking about it, like your talking now needs to become an action. Like you need to take the steps. Once you have, you know, gotten to know yourself, once you have talked to other people, once you have written your goals down and figured out what it is you really want and given it the time that you need to like let that settle and let it become what it should be, that's when you actually need to make the choice. Okay, I'm done talking about it. These are my goals. This is what I'm going to do to make it happen, and you make it happen. You do all the or the setup for it, and then you're actually like, all right, I'm done talking. I'm going to do it. And this is a big step for people because they're so... A lot of people are all talk, you know what I mean? And people probably thought that about me for a long time. I was like, oh, I don't want to be a teacher, I don't want to be a teacher. Like, yeah, we'll see when that happens. And I'm just like, yeah, you will. Right now! One of the biggest steps is like actually taking the freaking leap and just doing it. You make the choice to leave, okay, you set the date. When are you talking to your boss? When are you quitting? When are you gonna start, you know, looking for a new job or whatever it is? Like, you need to put that down and you need to do it. The day that I talked to my principal, I picked out exactly what day it was going to be. It was a Tuesday, and I went into her office after school, and I was like, hey, like, I need to talk to you real quick. You know, I went in and I said, you know, I'm taking a leave of absence next year. I will not be here. I've had an opportunity come up that, you know, at my age, I just feel as though I will always wonder what if, and, you know, I need to do this for me, blah, blah, blah. And while it was super nerve-wracking and stressful to do that, when I left her office, I honestly felt like birds were like flying behind me, just like, just literally, I felt like I could walk on water. Like, I felt so liberated. I felt like this gigantic weight that I've been carrying around was off of me, and it was unbelievable. So once you do that, I think the last step that's really, really important is that you need to just let it go. You need to let the process take over. You need to trust in that process. I think I said that so many times on my blog, but you really do. It is a process that there's a lot of unknown, a ton of unknown. You need to get comfortable with being terrified. If you're scared, it's probably worth it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just going through, like, like, whatever with your life, and you're just comfortable, you know, are you living your best life? You know, I am literally terrified all the time of what's happening next for me, but at the same time, it makes it exciting. Like, I know that I am, like, chasing after something that I really, really want, and I can only be proud of that. So you really just need to believe in yourself and believe in the choice that you made. Everything you did leading up to that point, that is the hard part. That you did it. You know what I mean? Once you do it, you just need to believe that you are on the right path and it will lead you somewhere great. You know, I have no idea exactly where my path is leading me, but know that it's going to put me in a happier place. And I'm going to feel more passionate about what I do. And every day is not going to feel like that. Every day, like, you might be like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, I just left my steady 9-to-5 job. And some days it's super stressful and you're going to be like, what was I thinking? Oh my gosh, was this the wrong choice? Like some days I feel like seriously sick. I'm like, did I actually do that? The risk is worth the reward. And that reward is not going to come immediately. It really isn't. I mean, it might take years. You just never know. But in the end, when you look back, you're going to be like, I'm so happy I did that. I asked you guys to send me some questions about leaving your job, if it's something that you want to do, and I'm going to kind of explain my situation a little bit more. I loved that after posting my blog post and putting it on Instagram, that so many people were like, one, I was like overwhelmed with how many people were like so happy for me and just like, so like, I cannot believe you did that, that's amazing. And sometimes I think I have to like pinch myself to remember like, oh my gosh, what I'm doing is something that a lot of people either wish that they could do or could never do. So like, I need to like pat myself on the back for actually being like brave enough to do it. And I don't feel like conceited saying that in any way, because I feel like if you like know yourself enough and that if you go after something, like you should be damn proud of yourself for doing it. So, to me. That was so sickening. Please don't hate me. You guys are going to unsubscribe if you watch that. A lot of the questions that I got had to deal with money, which is it's a big thing. I mean, when we're talking about a job change, it's a huge thing. So I'm going to get to that part second. Someone asked me, how do you actually know what you're going to do next? Like, how do you make the decision of what it is you're going to do? You need to decide what it is that makes you happy. You need to decide what it is that you want to do. And that's why I think getting to know yourself is the #1 thing when you're making a choice like this. Like, what is it that you want? Do you want a job that you make a ton of money? What field of work do you want to do? Do you want to be off weekends? Do you know, like, do you want to make your own schedule? Do you want to be your own boss? Like, there are so many things that go into it that if you don't know yourself and what you want, you can't even start the process. So I think that's the biggest thing. So my biggest advice for somebody who's like, I don't really know what I want to do, but I kind of have a direction, is start thinking about what you don't want to do. You know, I knew I didn't want to be a one-on-one trainer. It was just not something that appealed to me. I knew that I wanted to be in a group setting. I knew that for fitness, I wanted to be picking my music. You know, and that's kind of why Body Pump like never happened for me, because while they were like, oh, you need to get certified, and I'm like, yeah, like that'd be great, but it can't be my career. Like, why would I, just nothing fully pushed me to do it. And like, they give you the music, so you don't even get to pick your music. And I was like, why would I do that job on top of a job I already hate, because that's not a career that I can make. I started thinking about the things that I didn't want. And that kind of started leading me to like the smaller area of what kind of worked for me. So the biggest thing, I think, is kind of start with the opposite side. Start with what you really don't think you want to do, and then it kind of narrows down what's left for you. And then over time, trusting the time and, you know, talking to other people, getting their insight, making your goals, you can kind of find like what it is that works for you. The big one, money. How much did you save up before you actually made this choice? How did you save up so you had enough backup money during this time? So I still live at home. That's the situation that I'm in. So I have been fortunate enough since college, I've been saving a ton of money by living at home. Now, a lot of you are like, wow, you still live at home? Like, that's fantastic. You're such an independent woman. But it just works for me. My parents are really chill. Like, nothing has really driven me to move out yet. And I'm somebody who I was like, I'm not gonna move out, pay rent for like a single bedroom when I don't need to. I don't know, that's just me. And a lot of my girlfriends started moving to their boyfriends, so I was like, all right, I guess I'll stay at home. And my boyfriend lives like an hour away where I don't want to live. So yeah, and we're figuring all that out for where we're going next. But if you don't have that luxury, obviously, you know, some people, for me, I'm young enough that my job career change hit me when I'm in this time. But if you're later, you know, you can always, as soon as that hits you, that like, I need a change, you need to start saving your money. Sorry, eliminate getting your nails done, or eliminate, you know, how often you eat out or anything like that. Like, it's just every little thing. If you know, like, I'm gonna need this change, you're gonna need that money on the side. So you have to be smart about it. What do you do about health insurance? Which is a huge thing, and that was one of the biggest things for me, is I was like, what am I gonna do without health insurance? So you have a few choices. I'll tell you what I'm doing personally, which I know not everybody can do. So I took a leave of absence from school. I did not fully quit or resign because I'm not tenured, which means that I have not been a full-time teacher for 3 years. I would be screwing myself if I ever wanted to get back into teaching like way later in my life if I didn't take the leave of absence. And based on like the money and things like that, like it would have been stupid for me not to. I would pretty much never be able to go back into teaching, you know, if the thought was there like way down the road. So I took a leave of absence, which means I actually could opt to keep my insurance. So while the school system's benefits are incredible, and I'm realizing that now, I have to pay monthly for my medical, and I kept my medical and I kept my dental. It's frightening. I mean, like, it really frightens me, like, writing the check and sending it. I'm like, oh my God, just do it. Because I'm the type of person where, you know, if something did happen, I would really be screwed without it. And I mean, like, I still obviously listen to my parents' opinion. They're like, Kallie, you need health insurance. And I was like, okay. And you can go get it independently somewhere, but it's very expensive pretty much wherever you do it. So that's what I'm currently doing. I am still on like my school system's insurance, but because I'm on a leave of absence, I have to pay it monthly when usually like they cover a gigantic amount of it. How do you leave a stable and steady job? So that was another really big thing for me. A teacher schedule, you really can't beat it. And, you know, you have that steady paycheck, you like have those very steady hours, and it's a stable job. I mean, being a teacher is a very stable job. How do you leave that for like the unknown? That's like one of the scariest parts for me, is that it is a lot of unknown. It is a lot of gray area, taking chances, taking risks. But I think in the end, what you ultimately need to think about is like your happiness, your stress, and the way you want to live your life. I have always wondered why people settle for jobs that they hate. I always wonder that. And I said that to my parents, you know, through all the years of like really not loving teaching. I was like, why am I wasting my time? Like, why do people settle for these jobs that they just don't like? Like, I don't understand it. The reason I left this steady, stable job is because I was putting my happiness before a paycheck. If you want it bad enough, like, you're gonna make it work. I'm gonna grind and I'm gonna work and I'm gonna hustle until, you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, yes, I might not make as much money, but I also am gonna like love what I'm doing. I just feel like that outweighs the stress and the like unhappiness of like a day-to-day job you hate. Someone also asked, what is your source of income now that you are not teaching? So basically, I was a 12-month paid employee, so obviously teachers have off the summer, but when you like signed your contract, you could pick to be paid as a 10-month employee or as a 12-month employee, so your checks were smaller every paycheck, however you got paid through the summer. So fortunately, I did the 12-month. Actually, this week, I'll be getting a big like lump sum check for the whole summer, so it would technically pay me through August. That makes me feel better. And then honestly, I'm super, super fortunate. I'm super grateful that I do have the opportunity to make money through Instagram and through my blog. It gives me a little bit of extra cushion and makes me feel a little bit more comfortable. And I understand that people watching this, like, who want to quit their job, not everyone's going to have like an Instagram where they can do that, or like an outlet or platform that they can do that, which is okay. You don't have to, you know, have some big social media something to make money on the side. Like, my aunt has a catering business. I knew if I was in a rut, like, I would work for her. It might not be like the most ideal or glamorous situation, but it's still like, you still have to put in that work while you're working towards like what you want. I think that's it. There's one more question, so the final question, and I've been getting this a lot. Appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody, you know, asking me this. So the last question is, what are you doing next? So basically, I have, you know, told everybody on Instagram or on my social media, like, I'm leaving my job, this is what I'm doing, like, I'm following my passion, like, in fitness and all that stuff. And everyone's like, yeah, we get it, but what are you doing? And I'm like, whoa, slow your roll. I am a very competitive person with myself. I mean, I'm a competitive person in general, but I don't want to share what I'm doing for the fear of failure. In the situation that I'm in, I have chosen to be more like private about it. I'm just somebody, like, I'm so superstitious. I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to put it all out there and then like have something go horribly wrong. I've been working my ass off for what it is, and I'm hoping in the end, you know, it all works out, but I'm not going to share what it is until I 100% know. So I hope you guys can respect that and understand that. I just want you to know I'm very, very excited for what's to come, and no matter like what it is, I know like I'm just like gonna go after it, and you know, wherever my next like path takes me, or like where this whole fitness journey takes me, like I know I'm gonna be in such a happier place. I have this comfort knowing that I got out of a situation that was not like healthy for me or good for me or doing a lot for my happiness, and no matter what, like I'm gonna make the best of the situation that I'm in. When I know, I will definitely tell you all, but I just wanna like have that final confirmation. Alright, so because this is YouTube, I think I'm supposed to say please subscribe. If you haven't hated listening to me talk for this whole time, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel, which I think I should be like going like this, and just hang out with me, stick along. I am so excited for YouTube because I feel like it's a way for me to like show my personality more so than just like photos and captions, and even like Instagram stories or Snapchat or whatever. I have some fun stuff brewing in my head that I'm going to be doing soon, and this channel is pretty much going to vary from like anything fitness or, you know, just like my life, my journey, changing careers, to food, health, travel, and then just like fun, like crazy, like vlog stuff. I have some things in mind, and I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to connect with you guys on like a new platform, and I'm just super excited. I'm not going to be like YouTube fabulous yet because I just know I'm gonna struggle with editing things. However, I'm so excited to be starting this new journey in my life and also this new YouTube channel. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Is this thing on? Wait. I was freaking out that this wasn't filming still because of all my woes last week. Not last week, the other day. I feel like I usually go through spurts of when I just spit. Sorry, I'm like pulling my hair out. So I just feel like that, like, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know, my head might be cut off out of this. I have no clue. Happy, but you're not gonna get that Oi. Really good at this YouTube thing.